Greetings, this is Thungon here on my Redstone test world in the latest snapshot 12 week 22A with a design I've been working on today. I call it the drop checker, and it is 5 wide by 6 long by 7 tall, and what it does is checks what sort of item you drop into it. If this design is modeled to detect pink dye, so if I drop pink dye in it, it will detect the pink dye was dropped in. You do it again, pink again. If you drop anything else in there, from wool, repeaters, redstone, all these other items will all trigger the glass piston, the glass output, and instead of the pink. So the only way to trigger the pink is by dropping a pink dye in. Now, I made this version spam proof, so if you drop a bunch of stuff in there, it would still only trigger the glass, and it will never trigger the pink unless you drop one pink in there. One last thing about this design is it only works, this single output, the pink dye output, will only work for something that's stackable, and it will not work for things like armor or the awesome mellow high even. It will only work for things that stack. It's non-resource intensive. This is all you need. Roughly a full stack is blocks. It's 63 blocks, including the bottom but not including the covering, so you need 63 blocks throughout all the layers. You also want 11 ice. Now this ice is only used to speed up item transportation because it moves faster on top of ice and it still moves faster in water. As you can see through there, it moves much faster through that water stream. So you need 11 ice. You'll need 2 sticky pistons, 14 redstone, 7 repeaters, 2 fences and 2 pressure plates that will go on the pressure plates that go on the fences, 1 dispenser filled with whatever stackable item you need, 1 sign, 3 water sources, 1 ladder if you want to stop the idiots from falling in the hole that they can't get out of, and the awesome LI. Just kidding. And that's all you need for this system. This is how to build it. I have it in a layer tutorial, and the first layer, fairly simple. I'm not even sure if this counts towards its height, but you just want a flat ground to work with. On the second layer, you want to have 7 ice in a pattern like this. The 2 ice putting in this block, 2 ice putting in this block, and then it leading out along the line of this row. It leads to a fence, and the fence has 3 blocks coming out, 1 redstone dust into this piston, and the other side it leads to 2 repeaters on full, and it goes into these 2 repeaters, which is important to leave on 4 and 3 ticks. The next layer, you'll want to put the redstone dust leading from this pressure plate, which goes on the fence. The pressure plate will trigger this piston right here through a redstone wire that leads directly to it. You want to put redstone dust on this for later use. This redstone dust will lead to these repeaters down here and out into the output. Then you'll also want to completely enclose the ice paths with some block. You'll want an extra block on this side of the dispenser, and you want an extra block in this corner. And then once you put this sign down, you could put 2 water sources in each of these 2 long passageways, one in the dispenser route and one in the main route. And this is useful for the next layer. When the items drop down, they'll land into that water stream right there. To get that to happen, you have another fence right here, 2 blocks besides it, 5 ice in this pattern, one wool block above this dispenser, so the dispenser is completely contained, and another wool block right here, so these repeaters could connect to this dust, which will continue on to the output down there. And these 2 blocks are here for the first output. The first one on the right goes to a dust, which leads to the repeaters and down to the output. The other one leads to a repeater that goes into a block. This block powers this piston. This piston is used to help with the counter to spam control, not help it, but actually counter it. Since when an object triggers this pressure plate, the piston pushes in and no more objects could go through until the objects safely pass, and that allows for enough time for the spam to not matter if it's spammed. This repeater also leads to 3 redstone dust that triggers the dispenser down here, and the dust go below the piston, right next to the dispenser on the same layer. And these ice blocks are completely surrounded all the way around except for the ice right in front of the pressure plate, and then a water source is placed in this corner, so the water is flowing in that direction. And if a drop is dropped, the drop will come and hug this side, the right side of the wall, when it goes in, because that's important when the dispenser shoots an object down its path. Last layer, I'm not sure if this counts either because it's not entirely functional, not entirely for function, but it's used to cover it up completely except where you want to drop the item in, which is on top of the water source, as well as a ladder to help people get out of here. Unless you want to leave it an idiot test, you'll want a ladder there just to get people out safely, because this is intended for adventure maps where blocks of most sorts are intended to be unbreakable, and there won't be a way to tamper with it any other way, and there's no way to actually mess with the system except through this one hole. And if they fall in the hole, you want them to have a way out, or they have to restart the whole map. So how this works is when an item is dropped into the drop, it triggers this pressure plate first. Every item triggers this pressure plate. This pressure plate leads to the spam controls, so you can't spam any type of drop that you drop in. It also leads to the dispenser, which will dispense the stackable item of your choice. Here is pink dye, and oh, I did not cover that, it's my fault. But you'll want to have anything stackable in this dispenser. The downside of the system is that you can only use it 64 times 9 times, but I'm pretty sure that no map will go on for that long. This line leads around through 4 full repeaters to this system, which is a full repeater and a 3-tick repeater. To detect which item you deposited, whether it be pink dye or anything else, it all depends on timing. The timing will work every time. I never had a misfire because you could drop it in different spots, but when it hits the pressure plate, it pretty much follows a set course. It triggers the pressure plate, goes straight down, and the water carries at the same speed every time along. And let me just put in gray wool here for now and trigger it. So when the first pressure plate is triggered, the dispenser fires, and it's slightly off, but it doesn't matter anyways. Nope. Whatever's in the dispenser will end up right by the sign, right along this border of the block. the right hand side, which is why you want the stream to flow the block to the right hand side here. And if the same item drops down, like another gray wool drops down, instead of flowing past, it will actually join up with the other gray wool and it will never reach the second pressure plate. And if you drop anything else in, it will flow right past the gray wool and trigger the second pressure plate. This is a new feature in the snapshots, and it will be coming out in 1.3, so this will not work in 1.2, but that's how the whole system works. And if an item is allowed past, it will trigger this pressure plate after the same amount of time, after the same duration between that and this pressure plate. And if it goes past, this piston will push out, and by the time this signal comes down from up here, the output will go through this 3-tick repeater into the snow block, which will be extended, and then it could be detected by the output right here. If it does not hit that pressure plate, it will go through this snow block will not extract, and the output will go through this repeater instead, which will go through the snow block, which is here, and will go through the emerald block here. It just leads right around, triggers both, but depending on whether or not the second pressure plate is activated will depend on where the snow block is and which of the outputs is triggered. And will work 100% of the time, at least in 12 week 22A snapshot. There's even a possibility of shutting off the whole system by removing this block with the piston. If this block is not there, the output won't be there. You could have a piston coming out of this unit. It will be more than the dimensions I pointed out, 6 by 5 by 7. But you can have this toggleable. You can turn it off and on. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This is the drop checker. It is 5 by 6 by 7. And thanks for watching. This is Thungon. See ya.